Farmer. Good morning. I understand you have some coffee for me?
Hey, Mr. Importer. Yes, I do. I have some coffee for you. As a matter of fact, I have some really good coffees here. I have all types of coffees, really well processed as well from our farm. And I have a total of 10 pounds for you today.
That's great, Mr. Farmer. So as we agreed, your payment will be special and above market rate because we are paying for high quality coffee and your coffee is really high quality. So let me check what your price is gonna be. Okay, so it says here that your price will be the sea market rate plus $1 extra per pound for the high quality of your coffee. And that will be multiplied by the exchange rate that we have today in Colombia, and that will be your payment. So let me just make a quick calculation and tell you how much I'm gonna pay you for those 10 pounds.
Today I am going to talk about the effect of the exchange rate when it comes to determine the real value that a coffee producer got paid for the coffee that they sold. And how sometimes it might look like a coffee producer might have gotten a really good price for a coffee, but from the farmer perspective, it might not be as good as everyone makes it look like. For the sake of this video, we are going to use my country, Colombia, as an example. Before we continue with this story, let me just clarify that coffee buyers inside Colombia don't buy green coffee from the coffee farmers, not generally anyways. They buy parchment coffee, and the parchment coffee is paid in Colombian pesos. So as a coffee buyer inside Colombia, you want to have an idea of how much green coffee you're going to get from a pound or a kilo of parchment coffee in order to determine how much are you going to pay that farmer, because you have to keep into account that you're gonna have a weight loss in parchment and also some defects from that coffee that you're purchasing as parchment coffee. For this particular example, let's just pretend that this farmer brought 10 pounds of green coffee to the seller, just to make it easy in the process of understanding how the exchange rate will affect this operation. But in a future video, I will explain what are the main things that need to be kept in mind when someone is purchasing parchment coffee from a coffee producer and then selling it as green coffee.
Okay, so let me just make the calculation on my calculator. So the sea market today is $1 per pound plus $1 that I'm going to give you extra for the coffee that you're selling because it's a special coffee. So that will be $2 per pound. And today the exchange rate in Colombia is 3,000 pesos. That means that for every dollar that I'm gonna pay you, you are going to get 3,000 pesos. Which means that if I'm gonna pay you $2 for every pound of coffee that I buy from you, that will be 6,000 Colombian pesos for you. And since today you are selling 10 pounds of coffee to me, then that will be 2 multiplied by 10, that will be $20 multiplied by 3,000 pesos, and that will be 60,000 Colombian pesos for you today, dear farmer. So here you go. Here is your money for this wonderful coffee. Now I am going to take this great coffee with me, and we will talk in a couple of weeks when you have more coffee.
Oh wow, thank you so much, Mr. Coffee Buyer. I think this is a really good opportunity for me. I will have 10 more pounds for you in a couple of weeks.
As you can see, this farmer was really happy with the payment he got for his 10 pounds of coffee. Now let's see what happens in a couple of weeks if the exchange rate drops a little bit, and let's pretend that the sea market is going to stay the same, which is usually not the case because it fluctuates up and down. But just for this video and to emphasize on the point that I'm trying to explain, which is the exchange rate, we are going to keep everything else the same and we are only going to change the exchange rate.
Hello again, Mr. Farmer. How many pounds of coffee do you have for me today?
Oh, hi, Mr. Buyer of coffee. I have 10 more pounds of wonderful coffee for you today, and I'm really excited to show it to you, and hopefully you can buy it all.
Of course, thank you very much. I'm going to take all 10 pounds, and I am going to pay you a good price, just as I did last time. I will give you the same premium I gave you last time because your coffee is wonderful. Let me just make the calculation. So we have $1 for the sea market plus we are going to do $1 for the premium that I'm paying you because your coffee is really good. And then that will be $2. And those $2 we're going to multiply for the exchange rate, which today is 2,800 pesos. And that takes us to a total of 5,600 pesos for you today, Mr. Farmer. So here is the money for today's coffee. It is a pleasure doing business with you.
But Mr. Buyer, this is less money than what you paid me a couple of weeks ago. I don't see why it's different. This coffee is just as good or even better than the one I sold you a couple of weeks ago. Why are you giving me less money? Less money. Less money.
Oh, I'm really sorry, Mr. Farmer, but I'm really paying you the same that I'm paying you last time. It is not my fault that the exchange rate went down, and I really don't control that. So that's how much you get this time. Hopefully next time maybe you'll get more. We'll see.
Oh, well, I already had plans for what I was gonna do with the rest of the money, but I guess I will hold on to that because I don't know how much I'm gonna get this time. So hopefully next time I'll get a little more money. It's still good, but it is disappointing that I don't really know how much I'm gonna get next time. Anyways, thank you so much. I don't really have any better options, so I really appreciate you buying coffee from me.
As you can see in this example, the farmer is basically taking all of the risk because he is the one that is getting paid different amounts of money depending on the exchange rate. So the exchange rate goes up and down. Sometimes it stays around the same for a while, but it can drastically change, which means that even if you are committed as a coffee buyer to pay $2, $3 flat rate per pound to a coffee farmer, that doesn't translate as an even income for the farmer. It might be an even payment or an even expense for you because you know how much you're gonna pay per pound, but the farmer still doesn't know how much money he's going to get for that coffee that he's selling. And that is really challenging for the following reasons. As a coffee producer, if you have a farm and you know that you're going to produce, let's say, 100 pounds of coffee, and you know how much you're going to get paid for that coffee, you are able to think in advance of the investments that you can make into the farm with that money that you're going to get. You're also able to incur in some debt because you know that you will be able to pay for it. So if, for example, you want to plant a new lot, but the harvest is not yet here, but you need the money, you can borrow some money because you know that once the harvest comes, you're gonna make certain amount of money, and you are sure as a coffee farmer that you will be able to pay for that money that you borrow in advance. However, if you know that you're going to produce 100 pounds of coffee, but you don't really know how much money you're gonna get from that coffee, then it's like you really have no power to make any decisions or planning or to grow your farm until you get the money. And by then, many opportunities might be missed. And during the harvest time, there is really too much going on for the farmers to be thinking or investing in things that might grow their farms. So by the end of the harvest, there might be opportunities that they could have taken advantage of prior to the season starting and that they couldn't because they didn't know how much money they were gonna make. However, in the other side of the chain, as an importer or as a coffee buyer, you might be thinking, well, I'm paying $2 or $3, it doesn't matter, per pound of coffee, so I am paying a fair price, right? And it might be a fair price, of course. It is only not consistent, and it can even go below what you might think is fair. The fact that we have a fixed price that we consider above market rate doesn't guarantee that that farmer is really getting a good price. One thing is what the buyer pays to the coffee farmer, and one very different thing can be what the farmer is receiving and perceiving as their income. We coffee producers prefer to have a stable price and someone purchasing the whole amount of our harvest, rather than have a price that goes up and down and that is unpredictable and that many times is not going to include the purchase of the whole amount of the harvest. Because this is not really long-term sustainable for us. It's more difficult to plan when you don't know what you're gonna get. It is impossible to make any type of projections in terms of income or money for the producers. For a coffee producer, making $2.5 today might be less value than making $2 tomorrow, just because of the changes in the exchange rate of the C market and other variables that can affect this real value that the coffee farmer is perceiving. So as you can see, the perspective for the coffee farmer is very different from the perspective of, for example, a coffee roaster. As a coffee roaster, you are paying US dollars for green coffee. While as a coffee producer, you are receiving Colombian pesos in our case, or whatever the currency is in the country of origin, for parchment coffee that you're selling. It can also be dry natural coffee or other formats of coffee, but in this case we're just focusing on parchment. My name is Yolima. I am a coffee producer and importer from Colombia, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe and comment on the comment section below. Let me know your comments. What would you like to see in the future? And that being all, I will see you next time. Adios!